See,
And see.
Yeah. And yes, you're right. That's a big cluster of a church. There's something similar to the Cool Church down on Pima Farms.
Sure.
Right now.
There's another one. There's another one west of
and it has that potential. Okay. And you know, to me, I would prefer to have an institution like that another cluster of homes is going to add to the traffic pattern on Cortaro, very possibly open up Camino de la Este to go all the way through, because when you rezone it for a denser use, you're going to attract much more building than a well laid out church institution.
What my argument's been is that a rezoning will not be applied for unless it increases the value. I mean, we're completely honest, higher than what the current value is. Okay. So I started this out. I'm rather dispassionate about it, because if it winds up getting turned down, we know what our marching orders are for the future, and we've made the decision it's going to be a church, because there's not an economic model that will support 5 homes or other uses such as a cattle ranch. It's going to wind up being a church, which is fine. And if everybody says that's what we want, we're all here just to have full disclosure. Right. Now, if the LIU changes to medium density, there's a possibility that we would come in and submit a plan that would give the county their land. There would be a cluster development in the middle, and there would be open set-asides. All I'm arguing is, under the current land code, with the CLS, there's a greater chance of having something that's more palatable to the neighborhood than if we get our marching orders to go in the other direction. And if you talk about traffic, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, or the Cool Church, or a church with a daycare and a school and a multi-purpose facility will have a much higher traffic impact than if I were to sell this to a developer who would build, say, 10 assisted living homes and would have 100 residents there, none of whom can drive. That would be, if I were writing a letter to Santa Claus, and if I were you guys, I would say, "Dear Santa, please put in an assisted living facility on 6 acres." So yes, sir.
That's about the 15th time I've heard you say assisted living. Is that what you're planning?
It's what I'm working on.
Okay. Buys that area, and they submit I'm assuming they have to submit a plan to the county.
Yes.
We will not be informed of what that plan is.
Correct.
Should this change, and they have to come in and say a church buys it anyway, underneath the change in comprehensive plan, we still will want to be informed about what they're doing.
Correct.
But if you get what you want, change it to this, and you want to develop it the way you want to, we will have to be informed of what the development's going to be.
Correct.
And go through this whole process again.
Correct.
Okay. So either way, I mean, if we don't change it, we don't have any input into what the plan's going to be for that particular area.
And we did change it, we might.
Oh, we will have input.
There'll be an opportunity for us to make our wishes, wants, and desires, I think, known, just how this process has been, I think. And I'm not for this, or, I'm as a group here, we're not here because we
No, I appreciate it. You succinctly said, yeah.
Should you, because you're basically saying if this doesn't go through, you're going to actively pursue finding a church buyer.
Correct.
Which then we have no say in what.
And which is all fine and dandy. We'd all love to have a church next door until they decide to have Wednesday mass or Wednesday service, which every church else does.
And until they decide to put in a high school.
Until they have a high school, and then they have
facility.
they don't have the same buffers, and they have nice bright lights that all shine into our backyard. So fundamentally, I mean, your position makes a lot of sense. I won't be able to ride quads, but
it's entirely possible. Right.
Hey, there's 36
in that case you wouldn't be able to ride quads.
but I mean, it makes sense. It's known versus unknown.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, the churches very well could put up a parking lot with their street lamps right up against our wash wall right there. So you just, so I agree with that. I mean, personally.
Development plan is submitted that changes the zoning, and I have to ask for permission to get a zoning to something other than SR. There's an opportunity for open space, there's an opportunity for dedication of right-of-ways, opportunity of a lot of things that would be in the county's best interest. If I don't submit a plan for a rezone and I make a development which falls within accepted uses, that doesn't happen. You don't get notified. There's no public comment period. No dedication gets made. No land gets set aside.
So it's your opinion that it should be set aside?
I am making a statement that I believe that the minimum amount to set aside would be 30%. And I am making an opinion based on being a developer that the set aside logical place would be a buffer between the neighbors and here. You know, furthermore, you do have power, so if we said, great, we're going to have a development backing up and we're going to buffer this, right? You now have public comment period where you say, this stinks, I'm opposed to it, don't allow the rezoning, this guy's wet.
Does the church have height restrictions?
They do,
Oh, they do.
which I think are similar to what you just read, 34 feet, some of that. What's your name, sir?
Jerry.
Oh, behind Jerry.
Matt.
Matt said exactly right. It's the known versus the unknown.
Right.
And it's not an argument of do we want development or no. All in favor of nothing ever being done here, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Unfortunately, it's not going to work that way. Something's going to get done here. So the question is, do you have input or not? Is what I'm asking for better for you or not? The question is, what input do you want to have? And I've been making the argument that you have more power if the LIU is changed than if it doesn't.
I'm gonna probably put you on this. Do you have a buyer for either one, or do you have stuff in the hopper right now for either one?
I've got a meeting tomorrow with Pastor,
Okay.
and I get a call about once every month. And it's difficult because a lot of churches that would be interested in this are what we call move-up buyers, and they already have a
Church right now. They're looking for more land.
So yeah, he's got a church on Ina that's, you know, he bought